Migration often gets constructed as the exception, right? And thus not part of the world that we live in. So, nowadays we hear in the news all the time about migrants being denigrated for all sorts of different reasons.
In each of these cities and internationally, there is often a negative view of migrants into cities, that migrants are seen as contributing to congestion. In some cases they're associated with crime or other sorts of negative behaviour. Particularly these neighbourhoods which are very, very poor. There's a whole range of negative associations with them, and many people who we interviewed in these neighbourhoods said that they were aware that their neighbourhood didn't have a very good reputation, that people judged them when they knew they lived in this neighbourhood.
Labour migration is a really important element in the reason why people move into the city. They look upon urban life as offering a host of different economic opportunities. It's a way for a rural family to supplement their income by sending some of their kids into the city for temporary work and then remitting that money back to their home communities. Under conditions of climate change, more and more people will be migrating, and more than likely from areas of vulnerability into cities, where they will then become trapped. Really key in that narrative is the way that climate change gets constructed as the dominant reason for why it is that people migrate.
Climate is one reason why people move, but it's also possibly one reason why they can't move. They lose their assets, their property, and so therefore they can't move.
So there is this concept of trapped populations, which is partly what this project is about. We're trying to get some understanding of the extent to which individuals are trapped in the communities that they live in, and we're trying to develop an understanding of the extent to which those communities use migration as a pathway out of poverty, as a means of escaping their entrapment, if you like. And one of the things that is starting to show up in the data that we're producing is that in fact what appear to be long-term stable communities of people who are ostensibly trapped in urban slums are actually quite itinerant, and they will move into the slum for a short period of time. They'll work, that could be for a period of 2 years, 10 years, but then they'll eventually go back to where they came from.
So people are living in land to which they don't have a legal title to at the moment. They're sort of squatting in urban land, which is either owned by the government or owned by a private landowner. And they have no reassurance that today or tomorrow they won't be evicted from that land. They're unable to invest on the land because they know that that will make it more valuable and increase the likelihood that they'll be evicted. And so when we ask them what is the main objective you have in the short term, they'd say, I just want to live in a place where I can be secure and know that I can stay there over the long term. Then I can think about investing in the place, sending my children to school, building a better house, all of those things. It all starts from that security of tenure.
We, again, have this impression that to be a migrant is somehow to be an exception to what we understand to be the good life, a desirable life, which tends to be constructed as a sedentary life, right? You own property, you have an established place in a community. Migration is multi-causal, ultimately, and people will move for all sorts of different reasons.